How do you help people to form the right habits they do to manage their health? And that could be anything from exercise, diet and fitness kind of stuff, right down to chronic conditions and managing medications or getting back to appointments and those kind of things. I studied behavioural science at university. And so from that, we've then kind of built the business out, to try and bring those habits into healthcare and help people living with chronic conditions stick to their treatment plans. Launching in the US is really exciting for us as a company. It's just a massive market. We're also looking at markets like Singapore and Hong Kong. Singapore, a really engaged public health system that is focused on innovation and delivering solutions like this. And Hong Kong, where there's a massive market in terms of those health life insurers. How do we have as many discussions with as many people who are affected by the problem we're trying to solve as possible? I remember in the first couple of weeks of Perks, I just basically got in the car and drove around Sydney talking to as many pharmacists as I could, because we were focused on medication, and I figured that pharmacists would know a lot about people not taking medication properly, people not coming in and filling scripts as regularly as they should. My co-founder and I sat in cardiac rehab wards at St. Vincent's Hospital. We went out to RPA to kind of understand, what's the impact of someone not managing their condition, as well as going to organisations like Diabetes New South Wales and Cystic Fibrosis Australia and the Stroke Foundation, and talking to them and talking to their patients. Whilst neither of us were from a healthcare background, we were fortunate to build this network quite quickly of people who had been living and breathing this problem every day of their lives. But I think that we were also really welcomed as a bit of an outside voice. The idea of bringing this kind of behavioural consumer lens to the problem was actually kind of welcomed by the healthcare community really, really well. The better you understand the problem you're solving and the real experience of the users who will end up using your product, the better the impact you'll see.
And this is your first business, is it?
Yes,
Wow. You guys are doing really well for your first business venture.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's definitely been. It's always tricky as a founder, business or entrepreneur. I think you're always focused on the next challenge, and you don't really look back much.
Yeah.
And so there are some times where kind of myself and my co-founder need to take a bit of perspective, because I think you do kind of the wins are forgotten quickly, and then you're just focusing on the next big challenge, and that is a bit of a kind of I don't know if that's the mindset you need as an entrepreneur, so you don't kind of rest on your laurels too much. This cool idea I have, how is that solving a problem for someone? And if you can kind of figure out the problem it's solving for, whether it's an individual, whether it's a business, whether it's both, the quicker you'll kind of figure out the right business model to put in place around that solution. There's a lot of solutions out there without problems, and that won't fundamentally lead to a very efficient business, because whilst you might be interested in it or might be an exciting side project, it's probably not going to build into a sustainable business. How do you ensure that even if someone doesn't have great connectivity, they can still use the full suite of our product as much as possible? Things like ensuring that if someone does go offline, they can continue to kind of track their medication or track their measurements. And there's also some apps that you'll notice that as soon as you don't have access to data or connectivity, they won't even open. And that can be kind of a bit of a trap. If it is a solution that you expect people to use multiple times a day to manage something as critical as their health, you do want to ensure that the technology has been built in the right way to be available to patients, whatever the scenario, whether it is that they're being displaced by a natural disaster like a bushfire, or just that they live in a really remote location and there's times where they just don't have connectivity. For anyone who's venturing down the kind of tech development or tech startup kind of path, is figure out how to get the first version of your product, the minimal viable product as such, so with the least cost and not speccing it up too much and not over engineering it, just a really simple offering. And so we developed probably the first version of our product for less than $5,000 and had that in patient hands and and doctors' hands, and you could see the difference from telling people, hey, this is a few drawings we've done of what the app could look like, to here's my phone, have a play around and tell us what you think. The other reason that it's important to do that in a really light touch way is that you'll quickly get feedback from those people you give the app to that is way more valuable than anything than you sitting in a room trying to think through every possible place or overthinking, where's this button go, where's that, you put 20 users, playing around with the app, you'll quickly realize where the button should go and where it shouldn't go, or what features and functionality are missing that they could, because they'll tell you.
How much do you think like people should set aside when they start their own business, like just to cover that initial stage?
Yeah, I'd say, it's not a it's not a satisfying solution, but it really does depend. We were fortunate in that we were, we kind of had a couple of $1,000s we decided to put in each, and start, and we were kind of doing a lot of the hard work ourselves, and then kind of working with the software developers to build out that first version of the product. We also received some government grant funding, which was great, and I'd encourage anyone to look into kind of grant funding for those early stages, because there's lots of there's literally a grant called a MVP, or minimum viable product grant, from the New South Wales government, gives out to startups to build that first version of the product, which we were fortunate enough to receive, and was really effective in kind of just those early days of like getting something to market that we could put into people's hands, that we could go pitch at these organizations on how we could potentially deliver programs for them. And then we were really focused on getting those customers on board from day one to make sure that they that we had revenue coming in that we could use to pay the developers that were working with us and those kind of things. But similarly, if you're going to build a big hardware solution, that has a whole different level of cost associated with it. And so you might have to go out and raise venture capital funding really early on, or you might need to secure a customer who's going to pay for the solution up front and help fund some of the developments. There's different ways of doing it, from bootstrapping, which is kind of what we did at the start before we raised money, which was just effectively us trying to either funding it ourselves or funding it with revenue and grants that were coming through. The path that kind of everyone's probably more familiar with now, of like the venture capital raise, of going and raising a whole bunch of money to then go and deliver the solution. I think depending on the business, there can be, there's a right path and there's probably a not so right path. It's important for anyone, whatever you're doing, to probably speak to as many kind of startups that have walked a similar path to you, to understand why they made the decisions they do, and think about what is the right way to fund the business. Because some people, venture capital is really, really useful. Some people, the business is just not built to be a venture-backed business. And so there might be other sources of capital that make more sense, or maybe it's just about getting that first customer on board and getting some revenue through the door and kind of bootstrapping the business from there. So we definitely, it's a really important topic and really important question that we answer a lot, because I think it is really important that tech companies talk about privacy and have a really clear stance on privacy from day one. As I was saying before, we don't monetize our patients' data, which is kind of effectively what Facebook does. We don't serve ads, and effectively the solution we're delivering is behavior change. It's not some data feed of all the patients who use Perks or anything like that. We really encourage that dialogue with our patients who have any concerns about the data that they use in Perks, to answer that and say, well, look, all your personal identifiable, in health information stays in Perks. It's not going off. We're not sending your, medication adherence to your health insurer or to the public health system or to a pharma company. Any data that we use as part of any program is aggregated, de-identified data, and no personal or identifiable information is shared back with those organizations. That isn't necessarily the case with other healthcare solutions, where their revenue model might be actually monetizing that, your individual health data. You might be completely unaware of that. And so it's something we think differentiates our solution, is that, that privacy and security of data. Well, my co-founder is actually one of my really good mates. So we've been mates since high school.
Okay.
Which I think makes it a lot easier. You want to work with someone you can trust. They do say a co-founder relationship can be like a marriage. So you've got to, the nice thing is that I think personality-wise, both of us are very quite frank and honest communicators. But we also have the background that we've been frank and honest communicators with each other from way before we started the business. And so I think it's been very useful to be able to have someone that you can that can take feedback and can give feedback without it being a personal slight. It's actually just trying to improve the business, and that you're both in there with the same objective. I also think it's really valuable to have a co-founder in a business, because when you are first setting out, you want someone who's both going to question decisions you make, but also support decisions you make, and both of those are really important, because you want a sounding board who's going to give you real, frank, honest feedback. If you're doing something dumb, you want someone to tell you that it's dumb. before you do it. Yeah, if you are making the right decision, but you're kind of second guessing yourself and you're not sure, having someone in your corner kind of saying, yeah, that's the right thing to do is really valuable and can help you move a lot quicker and not get caught up in kind of overthinking things or, really overanalyzing everything.
Do you feel like you both have similar personalities or no, not really?
I think so. I think we're pretty similar. We tend to agree a lot more than we disagree, but when we disagree, we're very open about it. Having someone who thinks exactly the same as you isn't that useful. You actually want a contrasting different perspectives, and we even get that from our employees. I don't want to hire someone who's just going to tell me that's the right every time I suggest something that's what we do.
Thanks for watching today's episode of the Convo Couch, and thank you to Scott for coming on today.
No worries, thanks for having me.
Don't forget to check out the links below to Perks, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.
Bye. Hi guys, the number one tip I'd say to anyone looking to start a new business venture or kind of try and do something new as a startup would be really focus on the problem that you're trying to solve. That will be kind of the guide to your solution. A lot of people go solution first and then try and figure out the problem that it might be solving, and that can be a really tricky way to try and build a business. I mean, it might mean that you get a great product or a great idea, but I'd really hone in on what problem are you solving and how does that create value for people, whether it be individuals, consumers, or a business. Honing in that problem is probably the key to a sustainable business long term. If you're interested in finding out more about Perks, come check out our website. It's perkshealth.com, and you see about what we're all about, see if you're eligible for a program, or if you're an organization, come reach out to us.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode in a series where we interview business leaders, tech innovators, and startup founders about their business journey, insights, and reflections. If you find value in this, please leave us a comment below, and also like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Enjoy!